video I'm going to walk you through how to do a BMS swap on a Carbon Series 2 GTR battery. Pretty straightforward process. We've got the battery removed from the board. We're going to need to disassemble this to pull the battery out of the case, and then we can access the BMS. So I'll start by flipping the battery over so we can access these screws which hold the case together. So to do this, we're going to need a small Phillips head screwdriver and a larger Phillips head screwdriver. So starting with the small Phillips head screwdriver, we're going to remove all these screws and then we can disassemble the battery case. Alright, we've got those small screws out now, so we can remove the bottom half of the battery case, pop that one off into the side. Now there's no connections or anything that we need to disconnect to pull the PCB out of this one. Simply flip it over. I like to hold the harnesses, and then you can just lift the case up off the battery. So now we've got our BMS exposed. We can see the 4 screws here which attach the BMS to the battery PCB. Use our larger Phillips head screwdriver, remove those 4 screws. Now we've got those 4 screws out, we just want to get the harnesses out of the way here. Then we simply need to lift the BMS up off the battery PCB. Now when you do this, try and keep the BMS as level as possible so as to not damage any of the connecting pins. Grabbing it by both ends, giving it a wiggle, and it'll pop right off. So now we can go ahead and put our replacement BMS back onto the battery PCB. So again, lining up the pins with the receiving end on the battery PCB and pushing it straight down. Once you've got those ones lined up, just take a look from each side to make sure they're all lined up as they should be. And just give it a push to drive it home. Whilst holding it there, reinstall those 4 screws to secure it. Alright, so we've got the BMS secured back onto the battery PCB, so now we can reassemble it back into our case. So make sure we got the case notches where the harnesses lined up with the same end as the harnesses of the battery. Place it in starting at the front end, letting it flex to align with the pockets of the case. We want to make sure none of our harness wires are getting caught on anything. So just tucking those ones under, pushing it all back down into the case. Again, just make sure there's a little bit of free movement in there, indicating it's not being pinched. Take our battery case lid and reinstall that one. 4 small screw end is the same end as the BMS. Now we're just going to reinstall those screws to connect that one all together. Alright, so we got all those screws back in, case is all secured, done back up, and that's it. That's how you replace the BMS on your Carbon GTR Series 2.